Someone asked me to speak about diet during this spiritual journey as the spiritual awakening process unfolds. And I think I've made a couple videos about diet, but really, I don't put too much out there in terms of diet. Because talking about diet is a lot like talking about religion. And it's very polarizing and strong opinions. But what you'll find is as this awakening process unfolds, you'll find that you are able to listen to your body more. That you're more in tune with your instincts. So there's instincts that always are referring to the body. Then we have the intellect, which is referring to the mind. And we have the intuition, which refers to the heart or soul. And what you'll find is you are completely identified with the intellect. And there was this imbalance where you're always thinking about stuff. That's where we want to think about a diet. What diet is best? Eating 3 square meals a day or 5 meals a day, or should I go low carb or high fat, low fat, high protein, no protein? And this is really the intellect that's trying to structure food in a very mechanical way. I'll eat at this time, and this time, and this time. I'll weigh out my food. I'll measure my food. It's very mechanical. Look at that compared to how animals eat. Animals are eating according to the instincts of the body. There's a deeper intuition. So you actually will start noticing that you move away from wanting to weigh things and measure things and stick to a certain eating plan or a diet. And you'll start noticing that something starts changing in your diet organically. It actually starts feeling like it's very spontaneous. That as you listen to your body more, as you listen to your instincts, as you listen to your heart, you start changing your diet intuitively. Some days you might go with no breakfast, and you might like that experience of just feeling lighter in the morning. And by listening to your body more, you start noticing that it feels more lighter and energized. Compared to the prior week, it felt very heavy and sluggish, drained. You might start feeling like, I just have this craving or urge for something salty. I'm feeling more thirsty. I feel like I want something more savory. Certain times of days, you may want more of this lightness. At certain times, you may want more of this heaviness. Something more comforting. So what happens is, very organically, you start to be more playful with your diet. You start to loosen up what felt very rigid and constricted. You start opening up to the unknown. You start experimenting. You start exploring. This journey is all about exploration. Life is all about exploration. It's about experiencing it all. So you may have set up a lot of limitations prior. And it may start with questioning these limitations, reevaluating your preferences, seeing that a lot of your diet is just being passed down from your parents, what you were raised on, and you didn't know anything else. So then there's this, let me explore, let me experiment, let me try new things. So there's certain things that you swap out to make room for new things. So it actually starts feeling like you're exploring perhaps maybe different cuisines, different types of foods, different types of diets. Take a little bit of this, mix with a little bit of that. But it really starts feeling like you are becoming more of a scientist, that you're experimenting and you're just testing things. So you test and then you're listening. You're listening for the feedback. You're paying attention to how the body is responding to certain foods. You're starting to be more in tune with your body, be more in tune with your instincts. You actually start noticing that the body has its own cycle and rhythm, and that it actually starts preferring certain foods in the morning, or maybe no food in the morning, this type of food during the day, maybe more fruits and vegetables throughout the day, keep it light, stay hydrated, and then maybe it prefers a heavier meal at night, or maybe the heavy meal is in the morning and it tapers down towards the end of the day. Maybe you notice that you want more fresh fruits and vegetables throughout the summer season and more towards roots and tubers in the fall and the winter. Maybe you prefer cooked food in the winter, but more raw food during the summer. You'll find that the body is actually telling you all of this information. You're just not paying attention. So as this awakening process develops, continues, unfolds, you'll start noticing that you're paying more attention. You're becoming more and more sensitive. You're able to sense the body more, sense the instincts, sense the intuition. And you'll find that you've totally loosened up this rigid schedule that you're used to eating on, sticking to only these food groups, this type of diet, that type of diet. And it becomes more loose, playful, spontaneous, organic. And you'll start to find your own rhythm. It won't feel so mechanical. You'll start to find that there's this natural flow, that there's this flow, like a micro flow during the day. There's a little bit of a flow during the week. There's a flow during the month. There's a flow during the season. And you'll start getting more and more in tune with that. So it's not really about putting one diet on a pedestal, that you have to become vegan, that you have to eat the Mediterranean diet, that you have to go paleo, that you have to do the carnivore diet. Everyone's going to respond a little differently. And as this process unfolds, you will see that you're being called to certain foods more than others to help with this process. That energetically this food is contributing to the process as well. That then as the inner transformation is happening, you start noticing that the diet is actually an expression of that. It's something to aid the inner transformation, as well as it's becoming more of an expression of that. As you energetically feel lighter, you'll find that you'll just be drawn to lighter foods. As you start feeling more and more revitalized and feel this energy within you, you may feel like you are okay handling long periods of time without food. You may find it very easy to just simply do one meal a day. You may find that you're able to tap into this reservoir of energy, that you're being nurtured by your soul instead of the food. Perhaps you find that as you're meditating more, you're not as hungry. Perhaps you find that as you're meditating more, or sitting silently, or taking a nice walk by yourself, that you feel like that's actually energizing you. So then you're not dependent on stimulants. You drop the coffee, you drop the Red Bulls. So you'll see that this just changes. That's why there's no one diet that I prescribe and say, well, it's this. It's more of this open invitation. See what works for you. What works for me may not work for you. And only you are going to know that. But are you open to exploring and experimenting? Because this awakening is really an opening. So it's as you open. As you open, you're also opening in every area of your life. There's no boundaries here to say, here's my life and here's my spiritual life, and there's this chasm, this big gap between the two. No. There's just life. One indivisible whole. So you just start noticing it. That this opening, you're open to changing up the diet. So it's an invitation. this journey, it started with an invitation to truth. And this invitation is seen across the board. Invitation to your feelings, invitation to your body, invitation to relationships, invitation to thoughts, beliefs, everything. So it's more of a sense of listening to your body, listen to your heart, and you'll see that just instinctually things just start unfolding. Things develop a little bit of a cycle, pattern, flow. Instinctually, you may start getting in tune and maybe eating with the seasons, eating according to energy output, the physical demands of your body. So there's too many things to change because perhaps you were very inactive and now you're tapping into this energy, and now this energy, you want to express this energy. So then you start running. You start exercising, you start doing more yoga, you start doing more bike riding, playing tennis, golfing, whatever it is. It just feels like you've got this energy that you're then expressing. So of course, as you're expressing it, there's more physical demands. So then maybe you're eating more. The intellect is always trying to put things into a box. So it wants to hear, okay, here's the box. It's called diet. And it says, what should I put? What do you say I should be eating? Wants to make a checklist. Give me a grocery list and I'll start eating those foods. But what you find is that there's actually, when you start listening to your instincts, when you listen to your intuition, that then there's more of a balance that you experience between your instincts, your intellect, and your intuition, that there's this harmony that's experienced. And you start experiencing more freedom with food. You start seeing how you're so limited to a certain way of eating. You're so attached to certain foods, certain beliefs about foods, certain preferences about foods. You'll start noticing that there's so much that starts changing. Taste buds, appreciation for certain foods. And you'll start developing a deeper connection to your food. You'll feel one with your food. You'll feel that it actually starts changing the way you eat. You're changing what you eat, and you're going to change the way you eat. You'll start becoming more mindful of what you're eating. You'll start becoming more mindful when you're eating. You'll start becoming more mindful of why you're eating. And you'll start becoming more mindful of how you're eating. And you'll see that this actually just opens up a whole new world for you. you'll see just how disconnected you are with your food, how disconnected you are with your body, how disconnected you are with your heart. So just this eating, which you may be doing 3 times a day, all of a sudden that's transformed. Maybe you're still eating 3 times a day, and that's fine, but it's like an exploration. It's got you now paying attention to what you're buying, where you're buying it from, the quality, how you're eating it, how you're preparing it, why you're eating it, how you're eating it. You're just paying more attention. And you're listening to the signals of the body. How is your body responding? How is the mind responding to this food? You start actually noticing how the food's affecting the mind. You start noticing how the mind's affecting what you eat. That when you're experiencing stress, you're going towards these foods. You're starting to notice how these foods are starting to numb feelings. You're starting to notice that when things become uncomfortable within you, you look to food as a distraction. You just start becoming more and more in tune. And you start realizing that there's no one diet. You just start seeing what's working for you, and it's this constant flux, this flow that you can't put into a box, that you can't say, I'm eating like this all the time now, because it's inevitable. It just starts changing. That's what the mind always wants to do. It wants to limit. It wants to box. It wants to try and make things permanent. Here's my staple diet. Let's make things more efficient. Now I can buy these type of foods and prep out all my meals. It's so limited. Whereas you can constantly be exploring, constantly be experimenting, constantly be tuning, refining. And it becomes fun. There's fun to be had because there's freedom. You can't experience fun without freedom. So when there's freedom with the food, you actually start experiencing more of this playful fun. And because you're so connected with it, it's not like you're just eating for pleasure. The joy is actually this holistic connection that you're seeing what you're putting into the body and seeing how the body's responding, seeing how the mind's responding, how it's affecting mental clarity, emotional balance. And that's the joy, that's the appreciation. You start appreciating the intelligence. You start treating the food as something that's intelligent. You start treating the body as something that's intelligent. Whereas before it was just mechanical. Oh, here's food. I need to eat some food. Put it into this machine. I have to eat now. It was so mechanical. It was so dead. But now you start feeling more alive. There's just an overall appreciation for the food, an appreciation for the body, appreciation for the mind, and seeing how it's all interconnected. And the fun of experimenting and exploring. So this just naturally unfolds. So it's not this one diet fits all sort of thing. It's an invitation to explore. Try it out for yourself. Pay more attention. Listen to your body. Listen to your heart. Get in touch with your instincts. Get in touch with your intuition. And you'll find that there's just this natural rhythm that you are able to hear. You'll be listening to it. And this rhythm is always present. It's a silent rhythm. You're not going to hear it with your ears, but you're able to listen to this rhythm. And you'll know when something is off key, off beat, out of tune. And then you'll just simply refine it. You'll simply attune to the rhythm. You'll get back into key. And you'll notice that that's always happening when you're not paying attention. And then it just becomes effortless. Paying attention, you're always paying attention. That there's this sensitivity to the rhythm of the body. There's the sensitivity to the food, the sensitivity to the mind. And you start staying in rhythm. And because you're paying attention to it all the time, it just becomes effortless. So the diet is just in this constant flux, flow, rhythm, always changing, never stagnant, totally free. That the diet is free to move, to change according to the rhythm. So hopefully this helps. I'll see you in the next one.